James,
Raf.
congratulations.
On?
We made it.
Wow, big leagues.
100 episodes.
100 episodes.
Century.
100.
Yeah.
That's huge.
100 feels like a large number.
It does, yeah. If you really look back and dig into what we've actually talked about and done, there's probably, 30, 40 minutes worth of worthwhile content in there?
Podcasting is the easiest job in the world.
Easiest job in the world.
But also, like, your financial remuneration is appropriate.
It certainly matches the effort expended. But thank you, everybody, for supporting us to 100. We never knew it would get this huge
No.
in terms of episode numbers.
No, but like real talk, it was an idea. It was an idea born over some drinks.
It was a dream, actually. It was a dream.
Yeah.
We thought, what if two guys could make a podcast? What if two guys with a spring in their step and fire in their bellies could sit down in front of a microphone and talk for 45 minutes to an hour every week?
Yeah.
It's never been done before.
No.
It's never been done before.
Genius.
And we've proven that with a bit of grit and moxie, bit of lick spittle, bit
All
of
that.
effort, bit of grind, you can make that happen.
Yeah.
And a few people will listen.
There you
Dozens
go.
of people will listen.
100 episodes special. Imagine if we did an actual
A clip show?
Oh, yeah, exactly. So we're now going to play you the highlights.
We should have worn a suit. Like you wore last week, actually. You wore a suit into the studio last
Here we
week.
go again.
Bow ties, we do like an awards night. Most epic SmackDown.
Most skippable episodes ever in podcast history when it's like a retrospective where we just show the best bits of.
We were never going to do that. The only thing we would ever do is to like ruthlessly interrogate our previous predictions.
Yeah, except that we already set a time limit on them that's like at the end of the year, basically.
Yeah. But like that's accountability. We're not here to, lavish ourselves with praise about all the wonderful stuff we've done.
100 is a social construct based around 10 fingers and 10 toes.
That's exactly
Let's
right.
be honest. It's meaningless. Episode 99 should be no different from episode 143.
That's exactly right. It's going to be red hot info in each as far as we're concerned.
That's our mentality going into this. Grind, grind, grind.
Absolutely. Once again, Dan Round is returning to the freaks in Hollywood to figure out what they're up to over there.
Yeah.
Down in sunny Los Angeles.
Yeah, there's solidarity going on in Hollywood.
Certainly, yeah. And like we are, let me be clear, we are supporters of organised labour.
Indeed.
In whichever form it may emerge.
Yeah.
Even if it is those quirky freaks from Malibu or wherever it is the celebrities live.
Yeah.
We back them.
We back every union except for the police union.
That's exactly right.
And maybe the Pharmacists Guild.
We don't support them. The Australian Medical Association, they're out as well. Also, we don't like bricklayers. Don't even feel the need to explain it. We're just not in support of bricklayers and what they're up to.
But otherwise, okay, they standing strong, unionising. Fran Drescher, the nanny named Fran,
Yep.
because they're trying to replace humans with bots.
Yeah, exactly. So we talked about this in our like AI job apocalypse episode, which is like a month or two ago now. The script writers, the Hollywood writers, had gone on strike, the WGA.
WGA here to stay.
Is what you would be saying if you were a Hollywood writer
Yeah.
on the picket line. But now the actors in SAG-AFTRA, the Hollywood Screen Actors Guild, are also...
SAG-AFTRA, they don't like us, we don't care.
No, so the actors and the writers of Hollywood are all on strike at the same time. And this hasn't happened for basically half a century. Fun fact, the last time it did happen, President Ronald Reagan was the head of the Actors Union at the time, which gives you a bit of context for how long ago it was that everyone was on strike.
Yeah.
But we thought we would dig into this a little bit because there's a few different elements that intersect with like down around territory. So it's a timely story. The two main things that we kind of wanted to talk about this week are basically, yes, as you say, the AI aspect and also the world of streaming.
Yeah.
So these are the two kind of like core complaints of the actors and also the screenwriters.
Let's start there. What are the complaints of the actors?
The actors and the screenwriters basically have relatively similar complaints in this area. As with any union, they want to increase how much their members are being paid.
We should clarify, when we talk about actors here, it's not just the Leonardo DiCaprios of the world.
No, it's not your Leonardo DiCaprio's and Tom Cruise's.
They represent everyone.
They represent everyone and in fact, the majority of people who are members of SAG-AFTRA are basically bit part background actors.
Yeah, is it something like 80% of their members earn less than $25,000 a year?
Totally. If you're someone that appears on screen in a film or TV show that's like filmed in America, you're most likely a member of this union. And yes, the majority of them are ones who either have very small bit parts in TV shows, they're background actors who just appear in crowd scenes as extras, or in very, very minor roles.
Yeah, or maybe they get a job in an ad from time to time.
Yeah, exactly. Even though it's very easy to think about the actors union as being some of the most highly paid unionists in the world, these are people who are people like organized labor strong and yet get paid millions of dollars for a movie appearance. Yes, that's true. But there are a lot of people who are much lower on the food chain for actors and get paid peanuts compared to your leading stars.
Yeah,
but don't get me wrong,
drive Uber like on the weekend.
The leading stars are obviously a big part. One of the stories that came out in the past few days is that the Oppenheimer premiere had to be brought forward a bit because all the actors that were in it are members of the union and walked off to be, write their picket signs or whatever it was Christopher Nolan said. So, they have people who earn a huge amount as being leading actors as well as your background actors.
Solidarity across class lines.
I respect that. You got to respect that. But there's a couple of things that they're really griping about. First of all, as I said, the universe of streaming, which we've touched on a few times throughout Down Round history. The streaming model, whether it works at all, is still kind of up there.
It's still a big query over whether you can make money charging people a nominal monthly fee and still be able to create all of the content that is supposed to be like shown to that person paying the nominal monthly fee.
Exactly. So,
and I should be more specific. Is everyone paying $15 a month for Netflix? Is there really a business here that can make TV shows of like Game of Thrones or whatever caliber? I know that's not Netflix. That caliber of TV show, can you actually make these big movies that we're used to seeing, big TV shows that we're used to seeing? Can you make that with your revenue being these like nominal kind of monthly subscriptions? That's the question.
Yeah. I think the question of can streaming work as a model and can streaming work as a model with like the way that it's currently being operated are kind of like two different questions.
Yeah. Well, and is there shareholder value, I suppose?
Because I think the former question, like can you make streaming work? I think the answer is yes. Is the current output of Hollywood and the way they make shows and the way they promote them and the way that they sell them and the price they charge and all that sort of stuff, is that working?
Well, it's a relic, right? In that if you're talking about there's the advertising thing, it goes into cinemas. Cinemas have exclusive rights for like a few months. People pay $20 a ticket, whatever it is. So you're making like $20 per view at the beginning. You license off the rights to TV stations and this, that, and the other, and they have their own models, and that costs something. Then it goes to streaming, and then you get revenue that way, blah, blah, blah. Then it goes to, previously DVD, and you get like a $30 a hit again for the actual physical thing that comes out a year and a half later. Obviously, like that model is dying in front of our eyes, if not
is gone, basically. Yeah. Obviously there was a big shock and disruption with COVID, which killed cinema releases for a little while.
Yeah.
They're back. There was like a really nice moment where it looked like, oh God, the movies are back, baby. Like when Top Gun Maverick came out and made a shitload of money. There's a lot of stuff going on.
In that context, actors make money basically the whole way through that value chain as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Like there's reciprocal rights, and per DVD, 0.1 cent probably goes to one of the main actors because they've negotiated these deals and blah, blah, blah. And even the bit part players get like some percentage of every single DVD.
Your royalty checks coming through. Yeah, it was exactly. It was a really clear value chain where it was like, all right, great. You've started a thing. We're going to sell the tickets at the box office. Now we're going to sell it on DVD. Now we're going to sell the rights for like TV broadcasts, and it gets added to like the libraries for shows to replay over and over. That doesn't really exist anymore. Even it does obviously for a little bit. There are still people that buy DVDs. Channel 9 still puts on movies of a Saturday night. I don't know who's watching those these days. But obviously the vast majority of consumption happens through streaming, and streaming is a whole different ball game where even the leading lights of this industry, be it Netflix or Disney Plus or whatever, are still trying to figure out what's the equilibrium of what you can charge. How much money should we be spending on like our original productions? It's still not 100% clear. So stuff came out the other week about how much Marvel, as a like division of Disney, is paying for its shows. And the big one that came out was that Secret Invasion, which is the Marvel show that's currently playing. It's like one of their superhero MCU things.
They didn't think that hard about the title, did they? I mean, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they thought long and hard about the title, but Secret Invasion?
But it's actually, the name is taken from like a comic book.
It makes sense. So it's like an old...
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like a kind of a right-wing talking point.
It does, yeah, exactly. And it kind of is. The plot is that there are like various like world leaders and like superheroes are actually like secret aliens that have been...
Right.
So it's like a communist Red Scare kind of thing. So it is actually kind of like a right-wing sort of thing.
I guess I picked it all up from just the name. Because
I'm
never going to watch this. I've never heard of this and I don't care about it.
Well, see, the thing is, you are someone who doesn't watch movies at all.
No.
But even beyond that, I would say most people are not aware that Secret Invasion is on. It's got a bunch of top-line stars. It's got Samuel L. Jackson and a bunch of other expensive actors. The show cost, all told, $220 million, which is an absurd amount of money. I have no idea how many people are watching it, but it can't be absolutely blowing the roof off. But that's just like a vision of just how balked the streaming economics are. So it's like, is Secret Invasion actually generating enough Disney Plus subscribers to cover $220 million worth of production? And you can add that on top of all the other Marvel shows, all of which are in that ballpark.
Yeah, and I know it's far more complicated than this, but like back of the napkin math suggests that like that would need to be adding at least a couple million of subscribers to Disney Plus for it to be justified.
Yeah.
With 1 year of subscriptions to Disney Plus.
And
basically.
this is where it becomes all kind of like weird to get ahead a lot. And we've talked about this in our other episodes about streaming and stuff. It's like, yes, you have to keep releasing stuff to stop people from churning off because they're going to be like, I'm subscribed to Disney Plus, but they haven't released a new Marvel show or a new Disney show in weeks or months. Like, I'm just going to cancel my subscription. So you got to keep those people. How many people are actually like, I don't subscribe to Disney Plus, but I'm going to jump on board because I really want to watch Secret Invasion?
Yeah.
Probably not that many. It's not really bringing people in.
If it goes for what's a typical 3 months, say, runtime?
It's probably not even that. It's like they're normally like 6 to 8 episodes and they're released weekly.
Yeah, right. So a couple of months.
So if that, yeah.
And then you got to keep them there. Otherwise, if they're there for a couple of months and there's probably a first month free or first month for $1 discount, like you might have made $15 off them.
Yeah, totally. But on the actors' side, what they worry about, and certainly like the writers' side as well a bit, is that the clarity that used to come with releasing films, where it was like, okay, great, the film came out in cinemas, it got sold on DVD, we had the rights that was sold to TV, we know how many people watched it because we know how many people went to the cinema, and like we know the box office returns. We know how many people bought the DVDs because we have like the home release returns, and then we know how much like the TV networks paid for them. So there's like a really clear pool of money that comes out of that. Actors and screenwriters and everyone else that's involved at various points can say, we want our slice of that.
Yeah.
Whereas now...
Which would have been, by 10 years ago, because this is happening for decades, very standardized agreements.
Exactly. Whereas now...
Well, it's an opportunity to renegotiate the contract from scratch.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to box office. It's not going to DVD. No. It's not going to TVs. It is on one platform.
It's all on one platform. And think about it, it's almost like we've talked about a few times the Spotify model, where it's kind of like there's X amount of money every month that comes from all the subscribers.
Yeah.
And then it gets kind of divided based on how many streams you had and this sort of thing. You'll notice that like Netflix, Disney Plus, all these kind of streaming companies, Amazon Prime, they never just come out and say, this show was watched this many times. Or like, this many people watched it to the conclusion. You'll never get those stats. They're really, really cagey about it. Netflix has these like absurd figures when they pay $250 million for a movie or whatever. They'll say, oh, it was watched for this many minutes.
Yeah.
In the first X number of hours of its release, it was watched this many times.
Yeah.
Just like really like vague figures which sound kind of cool but don't really tell you how many came out. The big example is like Netflix pumps so much money into original movies. Red Notice was a movie they released, like an action film. I couldn't even tell you what it's about. I think I even watched some of it. It's completely gone off the top of my head. I had no cultural penetration. No one is sitting around saying that Red Notice is their favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
It is like content that was part of like a whatever. They came out and said it's our most streamed movie ever. In the first X number of hours, it had this many views.
Yeah.
Obviously, that doesn't translate to people actually having watched the movie or any sort of thing.
Does it automatically playing in pre-roll in the background count?
Exactly. You know, you have like that. Netflix will automatically start something if you've hovered on the menu for a little while.
Or autoplay the next thing that it recommends.
Exactly. Like you finish watching one movie and it kicks you straight into another one. How much of that is counted? And this is one of the things that like actors and screenwriters and everyone else that's involved in the production of a movie are like very antsy about. They're kind of like, we're not really getting what we're owed because we don't really even know what our share should be because we don't know how many times this movie's been watched. We don't know how much like quote unquote revenue is being produced by it. This is where it becomes kind of like pure down round areas in the sense that it's like technology has completely changed the way that this stuff is calculated. It's given like Hollywood studios and executives the ability to be like, let's tinker with the equilibrium a bit. And this has resulted in some like really funny shifts. Now that Hollywood movies and TV shows or whatever are distributed basically like YouTube videos. Yes, there's like a subscription package, but it's content that sits on a service. If it's not performant, the studios will just delete it. And that's what's happening right now.
Whereas previously, there's this big capital expense up front. So by that I mean, you know, you have to pay for the movie to be, or the whatever TV show to be made. But like, let's say it's movies. You pay for the movie to be made. You pay all the actors there up front free, blah, 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 and you pay for the marketing. They're basically your two main costs, right?
Yep.
Actually like producing the film itself and then the marketing. And then it's in your interest to just eke every last dollar out of that.
Yeah.
Like selling the rights to various different like global regions, TV stations, cable TV networks, DVDs, public screening. Then when you feel like you can't anymore, package it up into some 10,000 other different titles.
Into a library. And
then sell it off to someone else who can try and eke as many cents out of that as possible. But that's kind of changed now.
And it used to be like there were movies you would release in cinemas and you'd be like, okay, that missed the box office massively, hugely underperformed what we expected it to. But that's okay. We're going to like make that back on home DVD, home video release, Blu-ray release. That's fine. We can basically get another crack at it by like, you know, a lot of, you know, blockbuster movies, action movies, whatever, even like rom-coms, which don't really exist in the market anymore. Didn't do a huge business in the cinema, but it's okay. A rom-com will do huge DVD sales because everyone wants to rent that, especially if you're going straight to streaming, which a lot of movies, TV shows, whatever did during COVID and until now, even though like that model is, I think the studios are releasing, there's more value there to be mined than just like dropping it on Disney or whatever. If it fails and it doesn't get the viewers you want, what's the point in it sitting on that service where anyone can watch it and you've still got to pay actors their royalties?
Based on per view.
Yeah.
What is the value of a view of one extra view to Netflix?
Exactly. So this has resulted in the current trend, which actors are very unhappy about, understandably, where Warner Brothers or whatever will look at their library, see what's streaming on HBO Max and be like, it's going to cost us X to keep that there, when what we could actually do is literally just delete it from the service, pretend it never existed, claim it as a tax write-off, not have to pay the actors anymore. You're laughing.
Yeah.
Disney's been doing a lot. These are the shows that they've spent tens of, if not hundreds of millions of dollars on.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers filmed an entire Batgirl movie last year. It was good. It was ready to go. It was all edited. It was like ready to be put out in either cinemas or HBO Max. And they made the calculation of like, it's more profitable for us to just cancel this movie entirely, never put it out, and just claim it as a tax write-off, which is just like a really funny sort of like economics that actors are obviously not happy about.
Well, obviously they're the ones who lose out because studios and whatnot are seeing that them as just an expense.
Exactly. So on the one side, actors and writers and other people, creatives are being squeezed by the fact that Everyone's moving to streaming. The model seems like fucked, at least not working exactly the way it should. And
Well, there's chaos, right?
it's chaos.
And as they say in Sanskrit, the word for chaos is the same as opportunity. Drew.
Sanskrit,
All that. Russian, you name
whatever. Eskimo, it's all the same,
it. Inuit.
Apologies. My apologies.
No, but there's the opportunity, obviously, to create new contracts and renegotiate, and like in the turmoil of like these fundamental changes to how we kind of consume content, blah blah blah. People are using it as an opportunity to change the position of actors and writers and gaffers, you name it, within that kind of system.
Yeah, totally. And as you can, the actors are now being forced to like play by the rules of the system, where they're not even given like full transparency into how it works or what the results are and everything like that. Obviously, that hugely empowers studio executives. The other side of the thing is the same one that the writers are butting up against, but the actors are now concerned about it too, which is AI and content. Obviously, a favorite down round topic. One of the stipulations in recent sort of like contract negotiations between the studios and actors, especially those that are doing like background acting work, is that some contracts have come through which have basically asked, these background actors, they've come in for their day rate to do a performance, but that the studios want to capture their likeness and then use it in perpetuity using AI basically to fill out background shots.
Yeah. This feels like they were trying to pull a Swiftie. This is real kind of, it's actually movie vibes. Like they slipped a clause into the contract and it screwed us.
Yeah. No, totally. But I think it's kind of like funny because of all the industries that are kind of sitting down and being like, what are we doing about AI? I think one of the industries that would be most immediately like, there's an existential threat, just over the horizon, would be anyone in the world of content.
Yeah. I mean, already, Reed Hastings kind of said this before. He's like, who's Netflix's number one competition? Oh, it's Fortnite. It's not TV or this, that, and the other. If you're Hollywood, your number one competition to a certain extent is YouTube, TikTok. It's attention. And there's this scarce amount of attention, 24 hours in a day, they say. I've heard.
That's the limit, as I understand it, yeah.
Like that's what you're kind of trying to monetize, like people spending time watching your entertainment, blah, 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 blah. So they're up against TikTok, YouTube, this, that, the other, and this new thing, AI, that's able to once again generate content and generate likeness and is only going to get better and better and better, that is a competitor with you for people's attention.
Yeah. No, totally. So there's a couple of dimensions to it. One, as you say, the Hollywood studios and like anyone that's in sort of professional, like high level content production, like the studios have to deal with the fact that yes, they're dealing. A lot of people, rather than watching a $300 million movie, are just as happy to sit down and watch their favorite YouTube creator, or watch Mr. Beast.
Watch Joe Rogan for 3 hours.
Yeah, watch Joe Rogan for 3 hours. Watch Mr. Beast do like one of his weird little stunts. Which only costs him as much as he's willing to hand out to random people at a shopping center or whatever.
Watch someone on TikTok just go like, ummy. Ummy.
Yeah. Ice cream, yum. I mean, we could do that, I think, very easily. Down round, yum.
EBITDA. Adjusted EBITDA. Ooh. EBITDA.
ARR. Thank you.
ARPU.
ARPU.
Positive.
Yeah.
Adjusted EBITDA.
And then meanwhile, all of our subscribers are just like pumping us with little ice cream emojis that they've paid all this money for. If you don't know what we're talking about, don't even look it up. It's fine. Sorry, you don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But there's that. And there's also the fact that, I don't want to necessarily sit here and feed the classic vision that like any sort of creative business where it's like the movie industry, the record industry, whatever, is like creatives laboring under the whip of essentially fat cat executives who have not a creative bone in their body and don't really care about creatives, but are just like eking value out of them. I mean, it's true.
Well, I think especially in the movie industry, right?
Totally.
It's very much been kind of like a movie or a property or some IP is seen as an asset that needs to be exploited, and you can People will try and leverage that and get investors to invest in. Let's all invest in this because of this promise of future revenue.
Yeah, totally.
Blah, blah, blah. So it has been kind of super commercialized and productized in that sense.
No, totally. And like, what is a movie except like a really complicated production that's made up by a bunch of people, some of whom are creative, some of whom are probably more just skilled and not so creative. Some of them are like cost $150, $200 million with the expectation that they're going to produce $500 million to $1 billion in revenue. Naturally, a studio executive in Hollywood is going to be thinking about what are the costs that we can cut out of this process.
Yeah.
And obviously your top costs on an individualized basis are the actors. Your Tom Cruises of the world are going to charge huge fees. Your screenwriters can obviously make a huge amount of money on these larger productions and things like that. And other top creative roles like your cinematographers, whatever it's going to be. They look at the advancements in AI and they say, maybe we can't do it right now, but in the future, we are going to be able to get the AI to do the lion's share of the screenwriting at some point.
Yeah.
We'll be able to cut out all the day rates that we're paying to background actors.
Yeah, and also the complexity of the reciprocals and down the line, blah, blah, blah. Like right now, the accounting associated with dealing with that stuff, just get rid of it.
We can get rid of that. And because obviously you can CGI in backdrops. Because one thing that's kind of worth mentioning is the craft of filmmaking has changed massively over the past couple of decades. And it comes up all the time that I'm bringing up Marvel movies again because Marvel movies are the ones that cost $200 million and make $1 billion, at least historically. People that like movies and not just going to movies, but are
into movies.
Into
movie
movies.
buffs.
Movie buffs, cinema, cinephiles. They'll show a behind the scenes footage of a new Marvel production. And it's all green screen shit.
Yeah.
It's all even the props they're holding, Samuel L. Jackson will be holding a gun, and it's not even a gun. It's not even a proper prop gun. It's a weird, stand-in piece of metal with the little bulbs on it to be later edited. It's because in these kind of big productions, what they want is that every shot that they take, and they're taking it from a million different angles, the creative aspect sits in the background to we just want as many possible shots as we can get out of one shoot. If we need to cut it together or change it for international markets, if we need to take a gay kiss out so we can sell it in Dubai, we want a million different shots so we can cut it together properly. For whatever package we need.
Yeah, I mean, it's less a fully formed script that is being now a director is taking and turning into their vision, and just this kind of amorphous ongoing piece of content with 5 million different stakeholders all arguing over what's going to make the most money.
And imagine how AI can benefit that. If the idea is that I can just without having a huge amount of CGI work, but because CGI is very, very expensive and paying a CGI house to build something.
Yeah. If you've got Gladiator or whatever, building all of the people in the Colosseum.
But if you can do a Mid-Journey-esque kind of thing where it's and I've already got the rights for this, but these people's faces.
Yeah.
I can just slot them in. Hey presto. Imagine the cost savings there. And obviously the actors are trying to protect their turf.
Well, especially if you're one of those lower paid actors, because the offer, it seems, was for the price of a day rate. And you're supposed to be acting out some other scene or whatever, your likeness is able to be used in perpetuity. So we'll slot you in the Colosseum, for a gladiatorial fight. We'll put you as a cheerleader in the background of some high school sweetheart movie.
Yeah, exactly.
You name it, you're just forever used and not required anymore. Literally, you're being replaced.
You're being fully replaced. I'm going to put it out to you. I would not believe your face if I saw it in a Colosseum shot.
Do you think I'm too contemporary?
You've got modern physiognomy.
Yeah. My skull shape.
That classic, there's that thing that people say when they look at certain actors and actresses and they say that is a face that has seen an iPhone before.
You think I'm one of them? Come on, look at these jawbones.
No, say you've got I've been in a brainstorming session face. So if I saw you
one or two
in a background shot of intense gladiatorial combat at the Colosseum in Rome, 500 BC, I wouldn't believe it.
Just innate squeamishness.
Yeah, exactly. You're okay, this guy, he has a Google account. He used Google Docs before, I can tell.
This guy has looked at his bank statement and been like, do I really need iCloud, Dropbox, and Google?
Exactly. I'm sorry, but,
I'll take it.
So, the point of why we've talked about the stuff we've talked about in the past is that obviously Hollywood is probably the highest expression of like big money creative work, right? The music industry, which is very intimately tied with...
Yeah, but music industry doesn't make any money.
Sure. Big money creative work, and they're turning the screws a bit. There's a realization that actors are in a precarious position, A, because of the way the business models have evolved in line with the internet, streaming, what have you, but also they're being squeezed from both sides. One, they can't extract value from the current way the system is organized, which is streaming. And then on the other side, it's like their labor is being devalued by probably the industry that is most keen to like get rid of people.
So yes, the actors are being squeezed and being screwed.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. But the studios are being squeezed as well, because you can imagine a future, as I said, where right now, like what they have is, obviously they have, I guess, the production capacity and all of those resources available to like make these big films and TV shows and whatever and productions, as well as, the magical creative juices and sparks to, make these big blockbusters happen that can only be found in Hollywood. But in a future where like content is increasingly kind of determined by AI and, you have these TikTok algorithmic feeds, and would it not be better would I watch Secret Invasion or whatever, if it was kind of tweaked to have a context that I kind of prefer, with characters I prefer, and I prefer the looks of them. Like if it was in some kind of like art house 1980s style and nice kind of modernist kind of surrounds and blah, blah, blah. Point being, like using generative tools to make it more personalized to me. That's not what Hollywood's good at. Hollywood are good at creating an interesting vision that is going to appeal to a mass market. But the idea of like the mass market and pieces of content that appeal to the mass market is dying. They're being squeezed by this idea that as we move forward, A, people want content personalized to them. We're already seeing that with TikTok. It's stealing people's attention. People would be more than happy to, for free, sit there on TikTok for 3 hours and watch an epic thing. But as we move forward, as content is going to change, and content itself will be personalized, as in you can make infinite variations of like various movies and TV shows or snippets of content that appeal to people. That's not what Hollywood's good at.
No.
It's an explanation, not an excuse.
No, but like in defense of their side, the thing that if you're an executive at Warner Brothers or Disney or whatever, the thing that probably keeps you up at night right now when you're thinking about your 10-year planning horizon is that like, what if fucking Midjourney or OpenAI or any of these companies, obviously the trajectory is there. Midjourney has gone from looking like shit to looking pretty good in the space of 1 year. What if there's a future where someone can sit down and like punch into one of these AI things, generate me a blockbuster movie that, is about people living on Mars in the year 3000, and it has a train chase, and it has like a love story and whatever, and it spits out something that looks good. Because yes, the thing that a Hollywood studio or a content house can do right now that no one else can do is that they can pull together a massive production to make something that looks great and probably cost $152 million.
You can actually, with a few words, build something that looks great right now.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, make me an Iron Man movie, but not woke.
Yeah.
Bang. And like and it spits out a 2-hour thing. And like, it could well turn out that that's not what people want. Because obviously part of the joy of films and TV shows is that you can talk to people about it and there's like a shared experience of it. But this all feeds into all the various things that are threatening big studios. So I get why they would be like, these actors and screenwriters are holding us back from being able to defend ourselves against maybe not what the situation is right now, because we're okay right now, we're doing okay, but like the situation of what it might be in 10 years. They're just like, they're weighing us down for what the future of entertainment and content looks like.
I think there's definitely paranoia there, but they're struggling to get the revenue from the same massive productions because of streaming, etc., and they're needing to eke out ways to like create margin. Netflix isn't going to give you as much money. I mean, Netflix do their own productions, blah, 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 blah. But like, if you're just not going to make as much revenue, you need to cut costs right in the here and now. And it's both, right?
Yeah.
You need to find ways to cut costs you see this technology that's impeding your revenue, but you need to utilize it to cut your costs, blah, 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 blah. And you lead into this situation where like, I really feel like we're in a transient period.
Yeah, no matter what happens, I think, because the current word, as I read in a news story today, that like the strike they expect to continue through to the winter in the US, but like the summer here. So that's many months of presumably not a whole lot of scripted content being produced. The last writers' strike had like a massive influence on the way the content works. Like the last writers' strike essentially produced modern reality TV as we experience it right now.
Yeah.
You know, they needed something that was unscripted and couldn't be written. And now they don't have the writers, they don't have the actors. There's no way that what we get at the end isn't like a radical shift in the way the content gets made and produced and whatever. Like something is going to come out of this that's like fairly substantial. But like as for whether actors and writers are going to be empowered or if like we have a whole new content paradigm coming out of the side, I don't know. But
I will say, like, I know I just went on a whole rant about like personalization and everything different. You're dead right that like, we want shared experiences. You're dead right that people, they like the narrative of like there's a reason why certain actors get paid heaps of money. It's not because they're just so insanely good at acting.
Yep.
You know, it's because people like them and like their personality and follow them on Instagram and, you know, want to know what's happening in their personal lives. And like there's definitely role for celebrity moving forward.
Oh, no, totally. But presumably that will stick around. There will always be room for ice cream. Yum. Thank you.
Welcome to Down Round, the podcast about tech business and culture. I'm your host, James Hennessy, and this is my co-host, Raf Dixon. I hate to do the sales pitch straight out the gate, but this is so important. For just $7 a month, you can get 2 episodes a week of incredible tech analysis. We may not take ourselves too seriously, but the analysis is second to none. You could literally run an investment fund off the advice we give. The alpha is limitless. Why wouldn't you pay $7? You're leaving money on the table.